Hello, this is Fundamental of Programming course CO1027. In this session, we are going to talk about libraries. As you recall, we discussed a lot about library before, something about how you are going to use some standard library of the language. And in this session, we are going to discuss some more detail about that. Hopefully, you can get some idea about it. Okay, we are going to talk about how to handle file with input-output libraries, and we are going to talk a bit about string library too, and I'm going to explain to you how to make a library. Alright, so first thing we are going to talk about file input and output. Okay, for most language, reading and writing to the file is the most essential operation that you are going to perform. So in this language, it also provides you a set of instruction for reading and writing to the file. Of course, I'm not going to jump too deep into this topic because as you go in the course, you are going to encounter a lot of operations related to input-output file, and you are going to learn more details in the course. Okay. So first thing, let me show you something. In order to make the file works for you, you need a library. Okay, the library, actually the system library provided by the language. You want to include this library, this called file stream. Okay, in this file stream library, it provides you quite a few data types that help you to work out with the files. The first thing is input file stream. Okay, this is the data type that allow you to read a file. There is another data type called output file stream. Okay, in case you want to write down, use this one. But for some reason, you may want to do either read or write during the running of your program, so you may use a file stream as maybe a standard way to access the file. Okay, and in order to open a file is pretty much straightforward. You can call the method open, and you should provide the first parameter as the file name. Okay, there is another second parameter which allow you to specify what kind of mode you are going to read in the file, maybe read mode, write mode, or the combination of those things. And you can open the file as the text, or maybe you want to open a file as binary file. Okay, so there are several options that you can use during the open process. Then you are going to perform some reading and writing during this execution of your software. But then after finish everything and your program exit, don't forget to close the file. Otherwise you may have some trouble accessing that file later on. Okay, and when you want to close, just use the method close. It's straightforward and you don't need any parameters here. Easy, right? Okay, so here is the very short example how you open a file, and here I declare IFS as a variable of input file stream, and then I use open to open the following file. Now by default, this file is supposed to stay in the same folder of the execution file. Okay, and the mode that I'm using here is the input stream, and here is input. Okay, in means input. And as you can see, you can use the get method of that object IFS in order to read a character. So remember, get only let you read one character. Okay, and just like the console, you can check the status of your stream by using some methods like good, bad, and so on, error. Okay, there are several methods for you to check the status of the stream. Now let me come back to the stream a little bit. You look at the output console, you look at the input console, and now you look at the file, and you see the stream word right there, right? There's a reason why we call it stream, because the language consider your file is the standard input device. Okay, so the console is considered to be a file too, and yeah, the input and output just a stream. Okay, so everything you are going to work in C++ mostly consider as streams. Okay, the console input and output are streams. So think about it, when you use reading and writing on a file, think about it like you are going to do reading and writing on the console. It's very simple, right? And as you may see in the next few example I will show you, it's really easy to use the stream. Okay, now why is that a stream? It's a stream because well, you look at the stream, everything flow in one direction, right? So when you read one thing, then there is a pointer, like a read and write pointer. When you read something, the pointer moves to the next locations. Okay, and it reads things sequentially. Okay, I think it takes you quite a moment to imagine how it works. I probably need more time to discuss with you on the class to understand about the concept of the stream. However, in order to use the stream, it's very simple. As you can see here in this example, we have a variable called OFS, and the type is output file stream. Okay, and this output file stream is open using the file here, and the mode is output mode, which means I'm going to open the file and then write out something. Okay, and as you can see, I told you before, a file is nothing but a stream, so you can treat it as an output stream that you had before. So in this particular case, I use this operator in order to perform the output on the stream. Just you open the file and you can see the difference. Okay, and then after everything is done, you close the file. Very simple, right? Now there are some functions that I would like to introduce, but mostly you know about it. Here is the operators that you just seen before. Put let you to write down one character on the stream. Write let you read something from the stream, but in this case we are not going to write a characters, not a string, but the sequence of data. Okay, a block of data. Tell P let you know the positions of the output sequence, and sig P let you to jump to some location in the file. Good let you check the status of the stream. As you know, EOF is the end of file. Okay, so fail is another flag, you know it, bad too. Okay, these are familiar to you guys, just like you work with scene and cout. In this case, cout. Okay, and there's another feature that you may note here is called flush. What is it? Well, there is a buffer exists in the file stream. So when you write down something to the file, that data you write will not be written directly to the file. Instead, your data will stay somewhere in a buffer, and until the buffer is full, all the data will be pushed to the file, the physical device. Okay, so for some reason, if you want your writing operation to take effect at the moment, it is better for you to push the data. I mean, you write down some data and then you call push, then that function will immediately clear the buffer. Okay, and by clearing the buffer, it push all the data to the file. That's the mechanism. Okay, maybe most of people don't aware of this, and we just ignore the use of this function. But in some particular case, especially when you want to maintain your data frequently in an application like automatically backup feature, like you are using the word editor or some IDE for compose your source code, then you may want your type, the code you type, write down on the file as you typing. Okay, and sometimes it costly, but it have a lot. So think about it, how we maintain the data and how we push the data to the file directly. Okay, it's very useful sometimes. When you open a file, there are several modes that you can utilize. There are in for input, okay, out for output, just like you see before. Binary means you want to open this file for reading not characters, not string, but some data, binary data. Okay, and 8 here is the stand for at the end. So you open a file with 8 mode. It means you open and let the pointer jump to the end of the file. So if you write something, it will write at the end of the file. Okay. Up here stand for append. Okay, and it means when you open a file with the up mode, whatever you write will be append at the end of the file. Truncate means open the file, and if the file exists with some data, everything will be erased. It's gone. Okay, that's it. Of course, when you talk about file stream, you mostly see it as a stream of data. Okay, and we can consider in particular your file, mostly text file, right? If you are working with the text file, then you may want to work with string a lot. So if you have some kind of operation on the string, then you may want to use some library related to string. And string here is a very nice library that provides you all kind of data type and operations that you need for working with string. Okay, let me show you how. Here we have get as. Okay, do you recall get as that I used before? Well, it's unsafe functions because you don't know the size of your buffer, right? And it's a warning when you use the string. But let me tell you, it's not so hard to understand why we need the size of your buffer. Okay, you don't want to read or write something outside that buffer. But there's another note that I want you to keep in mind. Get as with this option. Okay, the option here is actually not depends on your language, but depends on the operating system that you are using. So if you are working on Linux like I'm doing, then you probably don't have any access to this kind of function. This function exists in Windows. Okay, especially when let me be clear. This function exists in when you use Visual Studio. Okay, if you are using Linux or Unix, you are not going to have this one. Instead, you only have get as like I used in the last lecture. Well, is that annoying? I don't think so. It's just a little bit different depend on the operating system. So if you are going to program across several operating system, then you should consider this one. And I can tell you that sometimes it's really easy to pass by using some macro. I will show you later, but macro works well in this case if you want to write one code for every platform. Okay. Now let me get back to the string library a little bit. You can use getLine to read data here. You see I'm reading just like last time we talked about some method to read from the input string, right? It's easy, so I'm not going to repeat it here, just skip it. And there are some other string function that you can use. This one mostly for the literal string. Okay, you have string length, return the length of the string, string cat to concatenate two string. Okay, actually if you have str cat s1 s2, then what happens? Here is s1, here is s2, here is the string of s1, here is the string of s2. The string cat will copy the data of s2 into s1 and return s1. Okay, that's how it works. And there are also string compare. It will return 0 if two strings are identical, or it may return negative or positive if they are different. Okay. Sometimes you want to use this one for sorting. Okay. And then there is a string copy method to copy the content of the second string to the first string. Very easy. So you can look at the document and find out how to use this. Very straightforward. And I'm not going to explain too much here. You will find out very soon. Okay. The last thing I want to talk here is about coding conventions. It means something that you want to know about how to create a library and what is header file. I talk a lot about it, but now there are some conventions that you should follow. Okay, so what is header file? As I mentioned before, header file is some place where you put your declarations of the data. It's also a place for you to put some declarations about your functions, about your class, about your structure, and so on. And so those function prototype will be put in the header file. The header file usually end up with the extension .h. Okay, and your code usually stay in some source file called .cpp. Okay, the extension is .cpp. It contain the implementation of your functions and some implementation of your class, your structure. Okay, that's it. So very easy. And here are some standard convention that you may want to follow. This is the main file that contain your code. Okay, you may want to use some library, and then you may put some library like main.h here, and then you can write down a lot of definitions and a lot of prototype over here if you want to. Okay, I'm going to explain to you about how to create a library later when we learn about some control structure that relate to macro. Okay, so that's it.